Hi, everybody. Welcome. And thank you for joining us today. My name is Eden, and I'm the Executive Vice President at identiMetrics. Some quick housekeeping things before we get started. We'll be emailing you a recording of this webinar. The email will include your special 5% discount coupon on any of the identiMetrics products through August 31st, 2022. If you have any questions during the webinar, feel free to submit them through Zoom chat. Also, Brian Adams is here with us directing the webinar, and we'll be managing the Q&A at the end. Let's begin. New state laws, a labor crunch, and the surging cost of food, delivery services, lunch trays, and other cafeteria supplies, coupled with the expected expiration of government meal assistance programs, are creating overwhelming challenges for food service directors across the country. Now, more than ever, 100% accuracy and a laser focus on operational efficiencies are a necessity. Presenting today is Dr. Jay Fry, President and CEO of identiMetrics. As you may already know, identiMetrics is the #1 provider of biometrics in K-12 education. What you may not know is that Dr. Fry was also a former principal and school administrator, so he comes to us with a wealth of hands-on, practical experience. He understands the challenges that you face every day.
Thank you, Eden, and thank you to everyone joining us today. As Eden said, I'm a former principal of a middle school of over 1,000 students. Every day, we were putting out fires related to student and staff identification, lost and forgotten ID cards, shared ID numbers, miskeyed ID numbers, and the resulting inaccurate records all resulted in a tremendous waste of time and frustration for my teachers and staff. What we needed was an ID solution so we could feel less stress in managing all we had to get done in a day. That's why we created identiMetrics almost 20 years ago. What used to take an office staff hundreds of hours a year to manage now takes hardly any time at all. And those inaccurate records and time-consuming audits are a thing of the past. identiMetrics was designed to eliminate ID cards and numbers and use something the students could not lose: their fingers. It had to work with software the schools already had in place and needed to be simple and easy to use for the staff as well as young students. And of course, just like in my principal days, I would only accept exceptional customer service and technical support from my staff. Many of the leading K-12 companies like Heartland, Titan, and Harris School Solutions have chosen to partner with us because of the value we bring to their products and customers. We know that at the end of a chaotic day, you want to feel good about educating kids and running a good program. That's why our #1 goal is to simplify your school day. When was the last time you used rabbit ears to adjust your TV? Or made a long-distance call on a payphone? Nobody does that anymore. Nationwide, more than 1 million students are using biometrics every day in the cafeteria, for attendance, and other locations throughout their schools. Their school administrators and technology teams are progressive thinkers who also want to take control of their ID management headaches so they can educate their students and run their programs. The old-fashioned methods of identification like ID cards, numbers, and visual identification are draining their time and resources and creating real problems every day. Some of the problems you face each day impact your time, like reconciling inaccurate and compromised records. Some of them impact your budget, like paying for meals that are questioned by parents. Some of them impact your students, like not having time to eat because the lunch lines are too slow. Some of them impact your teachers, like not having enough classroom time because of delays in the cafeteria. Some of them impact the administration, like audit and reimbursement problems. And some of them just irritate you and your staff, like parent complaints. This all adds up to a big headache for you. Here's an actual call I had from an irritated parent. Hello, Dr. Fry. I'm calling to tell you how upset I am about having to pay for 5 pizzas charged to my son's lunch account 2 weeks ago. Frankly, I was getting tired of parent complaints and said, maybe he was acting like big man on campus and just treating his friends. No, he couldn't do that, the parent said. How do you know? I asked. There was a pause, and then the parent said, because he was at the ball game with me. I apologized and refunded his money. I knew I had a real problem to solve. So, what's the solution? The solution is identiMetrics. With identiMetrics, you can proudly use progressive technology to take control of your ID management. You get accurate and efficient data collection, reporting, and audits by eliminating ID cards and PINs. Your students are able to eat and get to class on time because they're identified quickly and accurately. Your records and accounts are secure because biometrics protects student privacy. Your parents, staff, and administrators are happier because you've eliminated the drudgery and stress. The real solution means you have more time to focus on what's important to you because of increased efficiency and fewer distractions. In other words, peace of mind. So how does the finger scanning process work? The finger is scanned by the finger scanner. The software identifies unique points. Note that no fingerprint images are stored. The points are transferred to a binary number. The number is encrypted, linked to the user's ID, and stored in the database. When the user returns, the same process happens, and the new template is compared to the database until a match is found. The matching ID number is sent to the host application, and the user's account is found. All of this happens in about a second with a false acceptance rate of 1 in 200 million. It is impossible to recreate the fingerprint from this data, and privacy is ensured. Getting the students enrolled is simple and easy. Students enroll in identiMetrics only once. It takes less than 30 seconds. The students can enroll from any scan station. Once they're enrolled, there's no need to re-enroll them again, ever. Their biometric info can be transferred from one school to another. We even provide sample parent letters for you to use. I'm going to show you how fast it is to enroll 3 different students. The first student is in kindergarten.
Let's see how easy it is to enroll students into identify.
Your name?
Elena Fowler.
Okay, let's put your right finger up there. Go ahead. 1, lift up your finger. 2, and one more time. 3, and then left hand. 1, 2, 3. Great. All right, thank you.
Carly Thompson.
Carly Thompson. Okay. And let's do your right finger. 1, 2, 3, and your left finger. 1, 2, 3. Great.
I am Carl Scout.
Okay. And let's do your right finger. 1, 2, 3, and your left finger. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Because identiMetrics works as a platform, once the students are enrolled, they can be identified to any software you already have that uses barcodes, ID cards, or PINs to identify the students. For example, it will work with the software you already have in the cafeteria and in the library. Schools find lots of other ways to use it too. For example, for student identification at athletic events and school dances to be sure the students coming in are supposed to be there. identiMetrics can also be used to take attendance for large classes such as band, orchestra, chorus, and PE, thus creating more instructional time. Schools are very creative in finding ways to use it to manage identification in a variety of different ways. In fact, we have one customer in West Virginia that used our ID system to be sure the students voted only once during the student government elections. I'm sure there are other areas in your school that would benefit from our system. identiMetrics is flexible. It's designed to work in one school or across an entire district. Our staff will collaborate with you to design a deployment plan that works for your unique needs. All biometric devices are not created equal. You need robust hardware that will withstand considerable use, little fingers, wet fingers, and the occasional clunk of a ketchup can. We've tested a multitude of finger scanners on all kinds of fingers for almost 2 decades. The typical finger scanners that work just fine with normal adults fail with young children and difficult to read fingers. We test and test and test again. That's why we know the best finger scanners in the market today, and that's only what we recommend and support. USB biometric scanners are the most popular for POS applications because they're cost-effective, robust, and fast. They attach to any computer running the Windows operating system, laptop, or tablet via USB port. Now, Eden is going to talk to you about our customer support and implementation. Eden?
identiMetrics is solid, time-tested, and it just works. But when life happens, we're just a phone call away. Our team of biometric experts will escort you through any issue, and they're willing to log on and take over if needed. We're set up to ensure a prompt response that's on target, detailed, and meaningful. Your time is valuable to us. We have a special customer resource website where you're able to schedule an appointment, open a support ticket, access our library of videos, cheat sheets, and more. Your success is our critical path. We make it easy for you. We take you through 5 thoughtful steps that make implementing identiMetrics a cinch for you. The first step is orientation. After you place your order, you'll receive a welcome letter from us and an orientation video that takes you through an outline of what we're going to do together. Step 2 is deployment planning meeting. This is the technical design phase where we customize identiMetrics just for you. All the questions your techs have will be answered. And at the end of the meeting, we'll deliver your deployment plan. Step 3 is installation. Since we already established our deployment plan in step 2, step 3 is simple, installation, and we do all the heavy lifting. Step 4 is enrollment training. Not only will you be comfortable with how to enroll your students, we share all the tips and tricks so that you're confident using the software and enrolling your students. Finally, step 5 is your final system check. We meet one more time or provide a checklist if you'd like to do it yourself, but we want to make sure that your first day is flawless. All right, so how much does it cost? The most popular package is $2,900 per school, and that includes everything you need to get started. The biometric software for your first scan station, an enrollment station, finger scanning hardware, installation, tech support, and support. Additional scan stations run $800 each. Annual subscription is only 20% of the purchase and starts in year 2.
identiMetrics biometric ID management simplifies your school day and helps you and your staff perform at their best. You have efficient, accurate, hassle-free accounting and data with happier administrators, staff, parents, and students. From your seasoned staff down to the kindergartners, identiMetrics is 100% accurate, safe, and secure. identiMetrics works with the POS software you already have. Our software is ever evolving. As a result, you always have the latest and greatest version. With identiMetrics, students enroll only once and scan anywhere that requires accurate ID. As for our customer support and services, our only option is excellence. The frustration and inefficiencies of cards and pins are a thing of the past. Take control over your ID management worries and focus more on what you do best, providing an awesome environment for educating your students and operating a smooth and superb program.
Thanks, Jay. Before we open this up for some questions, here's a little reminder. We'll be emailing each of you a recording of this webinar, and that email will include that special 5% discount coupon on any of the identiMetrics products through August 31st, 2022. Okay, Jay, it's time for some questions. Again, feel free to add those questions in the Zoom chat. And I'm going to throw it to Brian. Brian, what are some questions for us?
So we got a couple questions rolling in already. First one here is, I'm ready to move forward. What do I do next?
I'll take that one, Jay.
Sure.
Okay, just give me a holler. My contact information is right there. You can give me a call, shoot me an email, and I will get you started.
All right. Next question here is, how long have you guys been in business?
Oh, well, I went from being a principal and looking for a solution to my problems with student identification to starting this company. And we opened our first office in 2004.
So that what makes it what, almost how many years, Jay? You've been doing this?
I have to do the math, but it's approaching 20 years. Approaching 20 years, yes.
Yep.
Thanks for that. The next question here is, where is the biometric data stored?
That's a good
Yeah.
question. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll take that one. So yeah, this is a great question. The biometric data is stored on your network. Okay, it is not in the cloud or anywhere on the interwebs. It is in the safety of your network.
I just want to add something to that, Eden.
Cool. Yeah, do it.
One of my goals as we started this company in solving my problems as a principal was to be sure that student identification and student information was protected.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that all of this resided in the school network so that it stood behind their firewalls and was protected by all of the laws that protect student data and information. So that part's very critical to us. And then also to make it easy and fast to use and interfacing with the applications the school already had, because we knew, and I thought as a principal, it was silly to have to buy a brand new application just to get the biometric solution that was integrated into them. So it makes this a efficient, secure solution for schools to be able to easily implement.
All right.
Anything else, Brian?
Thanks for that information. Yeah, we got a couple more here. One of them is, can you help with parent communication?
Sure. We provide you with sample letters and information about how other customers have put information about identimetrics and finger scanning on their own school websites so that parents are aware of how it works and what the school is doing. And I believe even those, we also have sample letters that are translated into Spanish.
Yep, we sure do.
Maybe in other areas.
Mhm.
So we have plenty of information regarding that.
Mhm.
All right, next question here is, how do you handle support issues?
I'll take that one. We have a lot of different channels in which to get a hold of some of our biometric experts. You can obviously just give us a call. You can open a support ticket. You can email us. And again, we have this really cool customer resource center that we've built over the years that have training videos and cheat sheets. So it's really like, it's really easy to get help. And our biometric experts are really, really fantastic. You'll really have fun working with them too.
One other thing to add to that, Eden, and that is from my experience of being in schools and supervising in cafeterias, we are well aware of the urgency that
for sure.
school cafeterias have, because when you've got 10 minutes before your students, the 200 or 400 or 500, however many students come down to your cafeteria are coming, and your systems don't work, it's a crisis. And so we do our best to be available to help solve those problems when they occur. It's not a
Mhm.
tomorrow or next week solution.
Yep.
It's one of those things that has to happen right away.
Yep, we totally get that. Yes.
All right, thanks for that. We got another question here is, will the old system work along with the new system? Can you still look up a student if needed by name and or number?
Eden, I think I understand what you mean by that. You have in
Okay.
place a point of sale system now, and you would implement the biometrics, but you may also want to use your old system, which may be a card
Oh, okay.
identification or a lookup in your system for students. And the
Mhm.
answer is yes.
Yes.
You can run your ID card identifier or your PIN pad right alongside the biometrics. Either one of them will work with your POS. And if necessary, you can look students up in your POS system as well.
Yes.
Another question just came in here is, how is the paperwork or count at the end of lunch taken? I'm assuming that's handled however it's handled currently with your current POS system.
Right. So
Mhm.
at the end of lunch, you would run your reports out of your current POS system just the way you already do.
Mhm.
identiMetrics doesn't interfere with all of that.
Mhm.
We provide that fast and accurate identification of the student to your POS system. And at that point, your POS system takes over and does what it has always done for you.
All right, looks like we have time for another question here. It's, have you had any schools that have parents give pushback using the system, and how do you combat this issue?
You want me to take that one?
I think we both had that experience, but Eden, I'll let you start, please.
All right, I'll start and then you fill in what we need to fill in. So one of the things that we have on that resource center, that website we were talking about earlier, one of the communication pieces is actually a privacy policy recommendation that Jay wrote. And one of the things in it talks about how you should have an opt-out policy. All right, so if somebody chooses not to have their student participate in the program, it's fine, you can opt out. And we take that one step further. In the software, we have a feature in which you can actually tag that record as an opt-out, and that record becomes unenrollable. So we have that all in place for those parents who don't want to participate in the program.
And we certainly understand parent concerns in general. And having spent a long time working in administration and with parents, there are some things that you just don't need to argue about. And that's the opt-out. So you can keep in place your current PIN pad or your swipe card reader. And those students who have enrolled in the system can biometrically scan in, and those who are not can use the PIN pad or the swipe card reader. We have found that in some schools, you might get as many as 2 to 3% that might opt out, but certainly by the end of the year, those students generally have convinced their parents to let them participate in the biometric ID system because it's faster, it's easier for them, and it's kind of cool.
I was just going to say, you have to, yeah, we do hear that a lot of these kids end up opting back in because it's just stinking cool and they love it. The kids love it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thanks. That was the last question that we had here. If there are other questions that you didn't ask, feel free to respond to my email when I send it out to you tomorrow. We'll happily answer any questions that didn't get answered on this webinar.
Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you, everybody.
And I hope this webinar has been helpful to you. The identiMetrics biometric ID system provides safety, efficiency, accuracy, and accountability to your food service operations.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Have a great rest of your day.
And we look forward to hearing from you.
Yes.